Recording. All right, so it's recording now.
Yeah.
All
Excellent.
right. So again, if you're going to start from default, meaning nothing else has been set up, the only profile that is basically within N Central from the start would be this one.
Okay.
All right. So again, take note: the patch profile does not contain the maintenance windows. The patch
Right.
profile only contains, let's say, how the agent will behave during for the patch management. Let's say, will it allow the users to connect directly to the servers of Microsoft to download it, or is it just going to be the probe for the patch caching, or if the update or if the users are allowed to update the system manually, or if it's just restricted to MSPN Central.
Gotcha.
The problem here is, from what I'm seeing, they have a lot of profiles. So for this one, it's 2018 Villa desktop laptop profile. And more or less, we're not seeing that profile here on the SO level is because it was created on the customer level.
Right.
So the hard part here is maintenance of your patch management profile. Since one, they did it in such a way, in a very messy way, that they created each one on a customer level. So if you watch the recording, the best practice is always start on the SO level,
Right.
right? And if there are special circumstances, like let's say only three computers are allowed to be updated during, let's say, weekdays, and then the rest are all on the weekends, then you again do it on the SO level instead of the the customer level, and just play around with the filters. You're correct in that one, when in saying that it's going to be with rules, or it's going to be playing around with rules and filters. Because one, if you're an administrator the only reason why they most likely would be creating a, the patch management on a per customer level is if your customer has a local IT guy that's employed by that customer. So, for example, um, 2018 Villa desk, let's say for this computer, Villa, what's this, Scalabrini?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just say Villa. For example, if Villa, the customer Villa has an IT staff that's employed by your customer, and they want that IT staff to have access to the patch management. Of course, you won't give that IT staff access to your SO level because he'll be able to see all of the customers.
Right.
So that's the only time that you'll be creating the rule and the patch management configuration on the customer level. But if you are from Photheon, if you are the only ones administering and maintaining the patch management configuration, then it's always better to do it on the SO level.
Because it gives you the most leverage over every company, every customer.
Yep, and it basically gives you, let's just say, an easier time in searching and, let's say, in figuring out which is failing or what exactly is wrong with this part of the profile. Unlike this one, if we want to check each and every profile, then we would have to go to the customer level, go back to patch management, and then check the patch profile, and then go back to another customer.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, and also applying fixes. Like if you see that a certain service like uh, is is failing for whatever the reason, if you apply the fix on that top level uh, uh, rule, it's going to automatically trickle down to every system, like within the whole organization, with every customer for that matter. Because I've
yeah.
noticed that um, there's a lot of issues that are, a lot of issues are the same.
Yeah.
So correcting one, you correct 100.
like this one. This has a rule for Stila. It's being targeted by 14 devices, or it's targeting 14 devices, but it does not have a maintenance window. So regardless, even if you have an associated profile with that, if you don't have any maintenance window, then you won't have a pre-download stage, you won't have an installation stage, so no profiles or no patches will be installed for all of these 14 devices here.
Right. Right.
So most probably the hard part for you as the new guy or as the new administrator for N Central would more or less be either cleaning up this mess or just working with the mess.
Right. And what I've been doing because because of administration, I've been working with the mess. So like as to not, because I already know that it's like anything that I do, if I put something new on there, it's
Mhm.
just gonna add on more to what's there, and my whole
Your whole life in that
outlook.
company will be
Right.
will be
The
hell.
out Yeah, exactly. And my outlook on this, like my mission, like at the very beginning, was after I saw the first onboarding video, I was like, man, like this has to be cleaned.
Yeah, because what happened with Photian most probably is because they started way back in 2014, so they've been on more or less a lot of versions of N Central and more or less a lot of administrators. So most
Right.
there are times because there are times that new administrators do not go through the onboarding or the re-onboarding process. They
Mhm.
normally just try to learn stuff as they go and just disregard the re-onboarding process. That's why that you might have noticed that I've been emailing you with emails following up for the re-onboarding because
Yeah.
we'll of course give you the foothold on of the knowledge as to how you will be able to administer and maintain N Central in the best practice way and basically the easiest way possible.
Mm.
Like unlike with this one.
What- Yeah,
So
understood.
more or less, with patch management, from what I'm seeing, I'm hoping that there's no real issues with most of the devices. Because if we are going to drill down on each and every device here or each and every rule here one by one, it might take about uh 3 hours or 4 hours.
Right.
But yeah, of course, you have my email. If you do experience some problems or you have a question how to, just send me an email and I'll try my best to answer as soon as possible. But for now, my suggestion is if you're going to make it streamlined and you'll be creating a single SO level, let's say patch management rule, then try to see if all the maintenance window are all at the same time or all at the same day.
Okay.
Yeah, if they are, then it's possible to just create, or it's easy to create just a single SO rule for all of them. The more pressing concern is if they have all different maintenance windows. Then what more or less will happen is that you'll have a lot of rule for each and every customer, but everything or each and every rule will be on the SO.
Right.
And of course, before you do that, try to check with your supervisor or anyone from the company if any from your customers right here has a local IT guy that has access to the patch management console.
Right.
Right? And your question regarding the license application, that normally happens during uh, the discovery process. And that is basically configured by default once you create it. I believe you already created your first customer before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is automatically being assigned depending on what you've chosen for the customer.
Right.
Yeah, but if you want to change that, of course, it's possible to change that on a per customer basis through administration. And no, 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 sorry. You would have to go through. You would
To the
have to
customer.
go down to the customer, and then normally that's under. I can't remember if that's under appliance settings or. I think that's supposed to be under. Let's see here. Defaults and discovery defaults. That should be here down below. Here
Okay.
on a per customer basis. But if you don't want to change that, it's possible if you're experiencing some issues. For example, you have a device and then you try to change it. For example, you try to change it from essential, you try to change it into professional, and then after hitting save it remains in essential, in essential license. It does
Right.
not want to change. Then there is a rule, most probably there is a rule that's targeting that device that imposes, or basically that basically tells the device that you're just an essential license. You can't change.
Gotcha.
Because that is also possible through rules, if you can remember. If you go to one of the rules, for example, let's say, let's just use AV Defender as an example.
Mm.
You could do that for any device that's being targeted by this kind of rule. If you change that under network device configuration and then the license mode, instead of change, you've chosen professional or essential mode, then any device being targeted by this rule that's under essential, you won't be able to change
Right, right,
licensing into professional.
right. So that would be a good that would be good like in the case of like you said if you're applying it to a rule like AV Defender because this is one of the rules that requires a professional license to actual function.
Oh, technically no. AV Defender, as long as you have an AV Defender um, license, you could apply AV Defender to any of the systems or any of the devices. The
Okay.
only problem there is with AV Defender, you need to have a scheduled task to run a scheduled scan.
Okay.
And a scheduled task needs, and scheduling a task needs a professional license.
Right.
So if the customer isn't concerned about running a scan, he's just concerned about having AV Defender there and then protecting the system, then you could most probably get away with the essential license. But of course, what's the use of an AV Defender or an AV program without having, let's say, a monthly or a weekly scan?
Right.
So that's the time that you will be imposing professional licenses for any device that has an AV Defender installed or a AV Defender enabled.
Okay. Okay, so and that's another thing. What okay, about like on the topic of service templates. Um I've noticed that that a lot of like if you could just click like a random machine and you'll see like there's a lot of things, a lot of different rules applied to it. And when I look into those rules, the rules don't look like they're really doing anything. How do you like say for instance if I wanted to, if I'm working if I'm focusing on one customer, how do I go about stripping all of the existing whatever is existing from like as far as patch management is concerned, the service templates are concerned, whatever rules, whatever that's associated,
Hmm.
without taking out anything that is put in by the system.
So you want to basically, let's say, a service template being applied to a certain customer, you want to take that out from.
Yeah, like let's one of the clients that I've been working with. Oh, can I control for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Just click anywhere.
Okay. And I got a professional license only on this one here. But let's say let's just see this one. See what this has. Some of them I've already worked on that where I've just removed things from them. But let's see. Like like this right here.
Mm-hmm.
How are all of these things ultimately associated to this device?
All right.
Essential devices.
One quick moment. If we
Mhm.
check this, so it's going. This essential devices rules is a public SO rule. All right, so that's on an SO level. So if we go back to your SO, which customer was that again?
It was Josie.
Josie. All right. Now let's check that rule here. Essentials. Essential devices. So Josie or that certain device technically is being targeted because they're using the filter essentials devices. So the essentials devices, most likely this filter filters out any devices that's on an essential license. And that's going to be with this customer here. So if you want to remove Josie from that certain rule, just remove its access here,
Okay.
and that
So
rule
it
will
was
be automatically removed from that device.
is this this rule here, is this created from is this created from can we see where it was made or who made it? Was is this a system, is it a system rule? Like does the system makes rules, right?
Yep. If you go back to rules, under the under rules, you'll see the owner. So if the
Okay.
owner is enable support, then that's a default rule that's already within the system.
Okay.
So this one was created by
Yeah,
preference.
I got it. So the ones that are made by like the the support the system, are those automatically assigned to are they automatically assigned to the devices?
Nope.
Are any rules automatically assigned to devices?
Yeah. The default rules, laptops, Windows. The essential rule, the servers,
Wait.
workstations,
You said the laptop Windows. What was the other one?
laptops, Windows, everything that, let's say, laptops, Windows,
Hmm.
printers, workstations, workstation Windows, and then the servers Windows. These are automatically assigned to each and every to each and every new customer.
Okay. But not the essential devices.
No, the essential devices is also assigned automatically to each and every customer.
Okay,
The
that
only
has in this.
ones, yeah, the only ones normally that are not, I can't remember each one of them, but normally most. supposedly most are there are few that shouldn't be signed, or no, sorry. So all of the default rules would automatically be assigned or would automatically be granted access to all new customers coming in. It's just
Okay.
that it's not getting assigned to the devices within the customer as if they don't meet the filters under devices to target,
Right. So
right?
first the device has to be, it has to be the system when it gets, when the probe picks up, identifies the system, it's going to automatically, based on whatever, the information that it pulls off that system, it's going to start assigning these
Rules.
rules.
Yes.
Okay.
So forget because by as we've defined rule as okay. So rules is defined as basically it's a collection of tasks that are initiated when the devices are filtered or imported. So as long
Right.
even if the device is already existing within the system for a couple of months, as long as it gets filtered out by the rule, or that device meets the criteria for the filter that was configured into the rule, then the rule automatically gets assigned to it.
Okay.
Again, granted that there are two things that needs to be configured correctly on a rule for it to be assigned or associated into a device. One would be the filters under devices to target,
Right.
right? Second would be the grant customers and sites access.
Right.
So if that certain customer is not checked here or selected here, then even if their devices are well, let's just say, what's that term? Meets the criteria for the filter, but
Right.
it does not have access to the rule, then it does not get associated to the rule.
Gotcha.
So always two things with rules: the
Mm.
grant customer sites and access, and the filter that you use under devices to target.
All right. And this is, just out of curiosity, um, this this rule right here, what exactly does this rule do?
It just basically, let's see here, patch management, security manager, no change. Well, basically, this rule only adds these two notifications to those devices, and that's it.
Okay. So, and this what do these notifications do?
All right. So if we go to antivirus AV Defender notification, so let's go to notifications here. Let's open up a new tab. All right. So we have what's that notification?
Antivirus.
Antivirus, antivirus, antivirus. So this notification, basically based from the profile, it sends it sends an email alert to connect wise ticketing recipient. So meaning it automatically creates a ticket,
Okay.
and then it gets triggered whenever AV Defender, the AV Defender service changes state from changes state to failed.
Okay.
So the service's AV Defender security event or AV Defender status has a failed status. That triggers the rule or that triggers the
Gotcha.
notification. The AV status, if that fails, meaning the AV Defender is disabled or is out of date, then that fails. And then for AV Defender behavioral scan events, so if there are some events resulting from the scan, let's say AV Defender during a scan detects a behavioral issue, then Once that service fails, then again it triggers this notification, and then it automatically creates a ticket for InConnectWise.
Okay.
If that
Gotcha.
is what, since that's what I'm seeing that it's configured for.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So the other one, Security Manager AV Defender. So if we look for Security Manager, where's Security Manager? Security Manager. So again, it sends an email alert to ConnectWise ticketing recipient.
All right.
So again, automatically creates a ticket, and then Security Manager AV Defender. So it's just with application compliance.
Gotcha. And this is ultimately it's being applied to it's going to be applied to a computer that has AV Defender.
Yep. As long
All
as
right.
AV Defender is installed and enabled on that computer, it gets applied.
Gotcha.
So as long as
So so
it,
so now the rules now it gets complicated where um we're just looking at the rules
AV
on the
Defender.
well oh no on the FOSSI on this SO level.
Yeah.
There's rules that are going to appear on the customer level
Yep.
because of all of the you know
All
like
of the messes that the administrators did.
yeah, so that's why I'm like without actually clicking on a workstation or seeing that a workstation is not reacting the way that it should because because like you set up a rule or like I said there's a maybe a rule that's in the within the customer level like it's
Hmm.
it seems like there's only what would be the best way to go about cleaning that type of situation up on a like on a global scale, if it's possible.
Currently,
Now, how would you go about it? What would be a first like if you were to give me some homework to do?
well,
What would
first things first, I'll get, let's say, information as to, I'd say, list down the most important part of Encentral that the customer is considering, because when he signed up. So if he's considering AV Defender, then first off, I'll more or less focus on that first. Which rule has, or if that customer or if that device has the rule on an SO level or on the customer level.
right? So my thing is like I want like I said once again I want to make sure that every workstation, server, whatever, has only the things that the only has the basic things that it needs to be assigned. Like I don't want to see a situation where like a bunch of services are creating alerts because a device doesn't have a professional license. Because that's ultimately like what I see a lot. I see a lot that that like say the old patch status
Mhm.
service is still being assigned to to like a lot of computers, and it's like throwing up a red exclamation point. But the patch version 2 is not. And from my experience, it seems like the first patch service doesn't seem to really do anything anymore.
Yeah. From what I could see here under the SO level, right? I'll start with the SO level service templates. The only thing that they customize would be the service template for the servers.
Right.
All right, so far, and for the workstations.
Yeah. Wait, is there I think the laptop ones has. I think that there might be.
Yeah,
Uh,
so those three. Now the problem there is if we go down to the customer level, well, thankfully this customer does not have a customer level service template. So hopefully your predecessors did not create a service template on the customer level,
for this one, yeah.
except this one here, just
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah.
So this one gets applied to servers. If, for example, I check this one out, right? So we're at Stila. So associated devices, let's say, check Stila PDC. So that's Stila PDC. Associated rule is Stila server rule. However, if we go to devices, alright, let's just wait for that. This is how you most probably be doing this one out from. So Stila server. So that's PDC. So do we have a PDC Stila? This one here. All right. So this one has a patch management, but does not have a maintenance window.
Right.
So I'm not sure how I more or less they're doing the patch on demand for this one instead of doing a maintenance window.
Right.
All right. So monitoring associations. So it has servers. It has the server rule that was in the SO level, and it has a still a server rule. Right. So the
Mhm.
server's windows more or less has this one being applied, and then it's also applying this one.
Right.
So now
So that's
there's going to be a problem because one, if you see the services here, it has CPU WMI for the service organization level, and then on the Stila level, there's going to also be a CPU WMI.
right. That's what I always I notice that too. That whenever that there's that's ultimately why I'm thinking that the best course of action is ultimately to identify with these things and to clean them up because it causes a problem. It makes things report like incorrectly. You know,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the hard part there will be more or less you'll be doing this on a per customer basis.
right,
Because for now, there's no report that I can see that that will give you um, the summary of devices and what service template it's using.
right. So, and as far as like if you have a server that's running Active Directory,
Mm-hmm.
is it gonna wouldn't it ultimately uh apply a service template for Active Directory? Doesn't isn't there a service template available that has all the Active Directory services? Yeah. Oh, well,
Well,
there's a
technically,
notification.
no, there is. I believe so.
Like that's what I'm pretty sure that like yeah, there's one right there up at the top.
But for this one, it's only applying Active Directory 2012 DRA, and it has no associated rule. So
All right.
it does not get applied because it's not associated to any rule that basically more or less supposedly it should be tied up um um with the devices.
And it should have some sort of purpose.
Yeah. So for this one, it has or it is, but it's not associated to any rule. So more or less, any devices here under associated was associated to the service template manually, meaning they went into the device, they hit apply new service template, and then they chose the service template.
Okay.
So the previous administrators are I'm not sure if they just wanted to do it that way, or they have a lot of time on their hand and they can do it that way. But yeah, from this one you'll be able to already see that there's a lot of more or less there's a lot of cleaning up, or you would have to have a lot of work ahead of you in straightening things out for this and central.
Right.
So yeah, aside from that, any other questions or any other concerns so far?
Um, let's see. Here, let me do this really quick. I think I have um this. No, let's see. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's see. So this is, I guess, where we were going over removing assets from roles, templates, and
Hmm.
tasks. Oh yeah, what is a good way of removing devices? Like what is the I mean like to to be able to keep them, like archive them, like keep record of them or
Ah, go back to your end central. So basically, you're going to retire a device, but you don't want to remove it entirely from N Central, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's either you could just, for example, I'm just going to use this as an example, but I won't be, we're not going to delete the device per se, all right?
Okay.
So if you click on the device itself, when you hit delete, it's going to give you two options. Completely remove device from the system, meaning N-Central won't have will not keep a history of the device, or you could just set device as unmanaged.
Okay.
So basically, it's still there, and N-Central still has record of that device, but it will not show up on the under any
Nice.
device's views.
It's not going to assign it's not
Yep.
going to assign any kind of license to it.
Yep.
So
Yep. No
okay.
license too.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then um about self self-healing self-healing services,
Uh huh.
and also um monitoring the event log, for
Mhm.
instance.
Mhm.
like like sometimes you will get an error in the event log that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the service that's actually causing it. So like like an example is like we have like some of our clients set up on storage craft image manager for
Mhm.
consolidating and replicating to an off-site
Mhm.
location. And because of like the nature of or like the size of the files, sometimes it could be in like in the gigs, that
Mhm.
the image manager service will hang,
Mhm.
and an alert will get thrown from image manager that says replication failed. And this is an alert that comes from image manager itself. It doesn't, it's not being. I don't know, like, if there's it from what the research I did, it doesn't seem like um Enable has anything specific to the image manager service. But like I said, if there was a way to, every time like that event, like, came up, or that the error shows up in the event viewer, that or in the event logs, that ultimately the service, that image manager service, will be restarted, because you can scan you can scan, like, the service itself, can be monitored, so, and it can obviously be restarted.
Yep.
So it's like, is my train of thought on this, like, am I thinking about this in the wrong way?
So basically, once event manager, or sorry, what's that?
Yeah,
Image manager.
yeah,
All right. So once image manager hangs, it pulls out, or it creates an event log or an event
yeah.
ID
Here,
saying,
I'll show you exactly. Yeah, you got it.
yes, saying that it basically failed
Failure.
the.
Yeah,
All right. So you could create
but the service itself doesn't fail. The
yeah,
service
yeah,
itself
the
is.
service itself doesn't fail because it's started, it's
Yeah,
running. So basically what you could do is, for example, let's just try one here. Ah, shoot. They're all on essential. We get one that's pro. Anyone that has pro license on it? Of course, it does not have a professional filter. So let's say,
can you create a filter that will show all devices with a professional license?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
actually that's what I'm planning to do since we're going.
Well,
All right, so I can only stay on this call for another 15 more minutes. So let's just
that's
make this.
worth the whole hour we spent. Now, you know what? This is uh it's been very insightful so far.
Yeah, well, if you need another round of this review, then feel free to just inform me, and I could provide more or less provide you a second round.
Oh, yes, yes, because like, um I wanted to also dive into the automation manager.
Yeah,
And
sure.
yeah, and I wanted to set up a couple of you know, or what I want to do is I want to I know like on the onboarding one of the last onboarding session it was like you know it gave that the homework to create you know a third party antivirus like
Mm,
detection and well I want to do something of that nature, but I'd like to do something of you know something that would be useful for you know for my network.
all right. So, all right, what happened? Ah, all right. Anyways, let's save that. Okay. So going back to our devices here, filter.
And you know another thing that this is pointed out that using this application using N-Central has pointed out is um, how critical it is to have a good naming scheme
Yeah.
for your computers.
Yes, definitely. So for example, this one. So this will be the last topic that we'll do for now, all right?
Okay.
So for example, for this workstation, right? So what you could do is either we you could do it on a service template, but we could discuss that in another, or basically doing it on a service template is just uh more or less the same as to what we'll be doing right now. So
Right. If
basically,
I know the process here, I can do it on the do it to a
we
bunch of
already
computers
have a
basically.
Windows event log right here
Right.
for WS Security Critical. But the problem here is this certain one is has a problem with agents.
Oh, I can show you a device that I have the, something already set up.
Yeah, not a problem because basically I'm just showing you how to add a Windows event log service.
Oh yeah, I've already did that. I've
Oh,
already
okay.
set yeah, I got it all set up on another.
For the
Yeah, look at can I show you really quick?
yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see. This was the one that I was working on and I these are all professional licenses. That's good to know. Jesus. I don't know why I didn't do that. I mean, there's just so much to cover in so anyways, yeah, that filter
Thank you.
alone is
Yeah.
and I've pulled reports for all the license usage too as well. But
Hmm.
this is a lot better because you can do something about it like right then and there.
Yeah.
All right, so this is
It's
what I had.
stale.
Yeah,
All right, one quick moment.
because it's not really doing anything.
No,
I
it's
don't think I have it set to
stale because you have not
yeah, giving it
given an
anything.
option to monitor. So you would have to, let's say, if that certain event log is under, let's say, failure or under error, let's say application error, you would have to put a check on error for application,
Right.
and then there should be event conditions, right? So under event
Right.
conditions, this is the part wherein you would be choosing if you want only a certain, let's say, you only want a certain event ID. So let's
Right.
say the event ID for that certain
Failure.
failure
That's
is, let's say, 1001, okay, yeah, 10, or 502, then you place it there
right.
so that this event log monitoring will only be reporting back. It will only go to failure, or it will change its state from normal to failed if N Central detects that that certain Windows uh, event ID pops out.
Right.
Right. So basically, that's why it's stale is because you're missing
because
some
nothing is all the configuration.
configuration. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason, okay, the reason why I'll tell you right now, on behalf of my defense, is that there is no there's no self healing. There's no self healing to the event log. Like if it like if we set it to include that ID, and if that ID goes to failure, the only thing it can do is notify.
Mm.
What I want is I want to be able to start a service based on that failure. I mean, that's such a useful method of correcting a whole range of issues. It would prevent, because like from the research that I was doing, like it led me into like doing some like learning about WMI, and
Mhm.
learning about like the queries that um you know that that Essential can do to a particular application, and how it can how it can self heal based on that. But I mean, that's getting way too complicated,
Well,
because
I believe it. There won't be one quick moment, right? Let me just
okay.
verify that out. Real quick.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, unfortunately, Windows Event Log does not really have a self-healing option. But what? Well, it's going to be complicated. But if Image Manager creates a WMI entry for those errors, or provides a value, let's say status of Image Manager, if there's an error, status 1, if there's no error, it's normal, then status 0, then you could create a custom service based on that WMI entry,
Right.
and there's going to be a self-healing for that. So
Yeah,
basically, there's
and that's the
self-healing.
thing. How do you? I mean, there's so many places to look, because like the replication could actually be coming from an online service, the online, the online end of it, which is eFolder in this question. So eFolder, is the one that ultimately will sense that that, like, hey, your upload failed, your replication failed, and that's sending us alert. So it's like, okay, well, obviously that there's some type of there's some notification being triggered by something. If like we could find out what that something was, then we could create the service within,
Yeah, I
within Intel.
know. Well, that part, I won't be able to help you out with. If you're able to know what object or what entity that gets created on at WMI, then I'll be able to assist you in creating that custom service if you're having a
Right.
problem.
Right.
But for now, I'm not sure if they will be able to get a self healing there.
Yeah. So what I ended up, like, the conclusion I ended up coming to is that I'm probably doing this the wrong way, or probably looking at it the wrong way. There's probably maybe something else, some other features that are in place that would satisfy a situation like this, where where an event log throws a failure, and like based on that failure, it, a self-healing task gets performed. And that's what I was looking into, the automation manager, like how, like,
Ah, yes. automation manager. Yeah, well, we could discuss that, let's say, on our second round.
Okay.
Just give me an email on as to when you'll be next available.
Okay. Um, I want to do this as soon as possible because I've been like I've been working for this company for a while, and and I've just I never got into this part of it. I never got into, like they have other people like that were originally selected to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and so it, like my attention was basically put onto something else, but I started working with it and I really like it. And I see, like, I see a lot of, like, I see like there being a time where this thing is going to do all my work for me.
Yeah, it's going to save you a lot of
Time.
time. Yeah, and stress.
Yeah, and it's going to offer, and okay, and that was another thing that, like, we can say for our next meeting is like what is the, what are the best practices for billing, like, for services like this, like 'cause,
If it's going to be for billing, then I'm not the best person to talk with. It's going to be with
okay.
the account manager.
Okay, because you know what I'm getting at. Like, it's like how do you structure the services in a way where that like you can provide a like, like a service price list to your client saying, okay, well, I offer like automated server restarts.
Yeah, I guess
You
it's
know,
going to depend on your marketing and development or business analyst team on how they will be able to do that. But let's say some clients charge their customers on a per ticket basis. Let's say
right,
a self-healing action was created, it creates a ticket automatically on ConnectWise, and then the client gets charged.
right.
So that it's going to depend on how you will design it, but I won't be able to help you out with that.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Could you at least could you direct me because ultimately the security of this application in within our organization is definitely based on, the profit that it brings.
Yep.
So, like,
So
what I need to know what I need to be able. I mean, I already have some kind of idea, but like, there's got to be, like, some more standardized resources out there that give, like, give a some kind of a guideline on, on how MSPs are ultimately, like, selling these services
yeah,
to clients.
I'll I'll try to get hold of your account manager and have him call you up to discuss those kinds of things.
Excellent.
All right. So, of course, since I'm going to need your phone number, I just want to make sure that I have the correct phone number here.
Yeah,
So that's 310-598-7585.
yeah.
Your
And
account.
my extension is 1003.
All right, one quick moment. 1003. I need to add that there.
But at the same time, you can hit option 3, and it'll get routed to, to support.
All right, not a problem. So yeah, so if you want the second round to happen as soon as possible, would same time like today work for you? Same time, let's say Thursday.
Yeah, definitely.
So same time this Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll send you an updated or another invite for that one.
Okay, perfect.
All right, great. So again, Santo, thank you for attending our session, and I'll talk to you again Thursday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bye.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Welcome.
Goodbye.